Good morning, one and all, and welcome to the second session of the day. Dear participants, we all know that no research can be complete without the intervention of library. The role of library and the librarian in research is pivotal. Libraries are a treasure in the form of various online and offline information resources useful at various stages of the research process. I, Mrs. Smita Ravindranath, librarian and IQAC member of the college, consider my privilege to introduce an apt resource person for the session now on academics writing, editing, and publishing, and the post lunch session on reference manager and citation. We have with us today Dr. Satish Kannamadi, librarian of TIST Mumbai campus. With more than 26 years of professional experience, he is presently serving as a librarian at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. His areas of interest are web resources, cataloging and metadata, digital library systems, knowledge management, etc. His research contributions include over 40 journal articles, edited volumes, book chapters, etc. He has been the coordinator for several workshops, conferences, and UGC refresher courses. Dr. Satish Kannamadi is a distinguished librarian and faculty who has been conferred with two gold medals for achieving first rank in masters in 1995 and UGC Research Fellowship, Junior Research Fellowship in 1997. Sir is a science graduate and has completed his master's and doctoral studies from Karnataka University, Dharwad. In September 2010, Sir was awarded the Commonwealth Professional Fellowship UK and was a Commonwealth Fellow at London School of Economics, London, in UK for 3 months. Sir is also the chairperson of Center for Library and Information Management Studies at TIS, which offers a cutting-edge dual-mode PG diploma in Digital Library and Information Management, Masters of Library and Information Science, and PhD. Sir is involved in teaching at all the three programs. Speaking about Sir's research experience, Sir is recognized as PhD research supervisor at TIS, and so far 6 scholars were awarded, and another 3 are pursuing PhD under his supervision. Sir is on the referee panel of the University of Pune, SNDT University Mumbai, Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapit Pune, Karnataka University Dharwad, and others. Sir is a licensed librarian for school and research methods and conducts workshops on academic integrity, research skills within TIS and outside. With such a rich knowledge and experience, I am assured that the participants will be truly benefited from both the sessions today. On behalf of the college, I welcome you, sir, for both the sessions. Over to you, Satish, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Smita, for those kind words. I consider myself to be lucky to be associated with a reputed college like SM Shetty College of Science, Commerce and Management Studies. I have had the opportunity to visit the campus physically earlier also on at least 2 occasions. And then when they approached me for these these 2 sessions, though, we are all hard pressed for time, but some colleges will always have a special place in your heart and you would never say no to them. So I said, yes, we will go ahead with these 2 sessions. And here I am to share my knowledge with you. Research is a wonderful journey. As a teachers, you are experts in your own domain. So I wouldn't claim that I have come here to tell you about your subject. Basically, as a librarian, I am an enabler. By years of experience of dealing with the research scholars, by managing the processes, by understanding the tools that are available to make you a 21st century researcher, I am here to share a bit of my skills with regards to how to manage this entire process of research, academic writing, and then publishing. And in the second session, we will also deal with the most tedious part of the research process, that is the citations management. So these two processes, I keep addressing scholars within TISS also and outside also. And this topic is quite close to my heart because I believe by imparting this knowledge, this skill to the researcher, I'm only expediting the process of people achieving their targets in terms of research. Those who are working towards research, they should do it as quickly as possible. Those who have already completed their research programs and are into publishing should be able to do it in quality journals and with much smartness. So what we will do is I will take you through the session, the first part of it, and feel free to stop me anytime you want some more input on a specific topic. Otherwise, I will keep on running this. At the end also, we will have enough time for question answer session because I always believe that a session should be an interactive one. It should not be a one-way monologue. And as a librarian, I always feel passionate and good to talk to researcher because every time we set up one-to-one consultation with a research scholar, I have seen that the exchange of ideas makes me little better than what I was earlier. And now here I have more than close to 97 participants, which is quite an impressive figure in this deluge of webinars that are happening. That this college has achieved 97 participants on day 9. I would consider this is possible only when you are getting access to the finest of resource persons and the topics and the infrastructure. So with these couple of ideas, so let's move on to our today's topic. I would share my screen. Okay, I hope the screen, you are able to see the screen. Hello, can anybody confirm?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
It is changing. It is changing. No?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So the outline of the session would be, we will spend a couple of minutes about why we are here, why research is important for teachers, what is a research paper, how you should kickstart the process of academic writing, how you should find literature, then what you need to do in order to prepare an outline of your academic writing, how you should organize your notes, edit and checklist for content and grammar, how you should indulge in revising the final draft. And after this, there are some hacks, some points, some guidelines about what you should do in order to come up with a most appropriate article title, how you should work on abstract, how you should work on the body of the article, how you should come up with a convincing conclusion, and then what, how you should get your paper published. And then also we will understand what are the takeaways of this. So when the trends in higher education are driving change in the research, we all agree, especially in the light of national education policy, which has brought in or ushered the changes that we were hesitating to include, say for example, collaborative learning, accreditation and ranking. Like earlier, we used to have only NAC accreditation. Now NIRF is taking in a big way research as a compulsory course for students. Say, for example, in a university like TISS, where I can relate, we produce close to 1,600 master's dissertations every year. So 1,600 because research is a compulsory course. I'm sure the same is the approach in other colleges also. And research as important means for teacher evaluation. A teacher will be evaluated not only based on his teaching skills, but also based on his research and publications. And the other influences like resource availability, innovative formats, anywhere, anytime access, delivery of academic programs through MOOC, all these things have, created an urgency. And why research is important for teaching. It helps us to make an outstanding contribution to student learning, engagement, and overall student experience. It ensures the highest quality of teaching by building a set of activities and events, develop a research strategy that concentrates areas of research excellence, learning and teaching research, benefits our own students. When a teacher engages in research, it is the student who benefits most out of it because teacher comes up with evidence-based approach, benefits the colleagues of the teachers also, and it can lead to academic promotion, obviously bonuses, benefits, internal and external awards and grants. So research is a kind of an important thing, and the research has caused an impact in basically two areas. One is academic impact, that is the demonstrable contribution that excellent social economic research makes in shifting understanding and advancing scientific method, theory, and application process, and within the discipline. This is most visible, and today the focus of our discussion. And second is the economic and societal impact, that is demonstrable contribution that excellent social and economic research makes to society and the economy. Now, if you look at the assessment agencies, I have listed only a couple of them, which are major ones: Times Higher Education, QS World University Rankings, Academic Ranking of World Universities, University Ranking by Academic Performance, Leiden Ranking, SciMago, NIRF. These are all the rankings. So if you just go to the ranking parameters of these assessment agencies, what comes to fore is the uh, emphasis on the research and the publications. You can see that almost everywhere research output, papers in index journals, 20%. You know, it's like that. University ranking by academic performance. If you look at that number of articles, what is the research impact? So the assessment agencies have been paying attention to two things from the teacher side. That is, how many number of publications you have and what is the measurable impact your research has had. Even this Leiden ranking also speaks of the same thing. And the same Anglo institution ranking obviously puts more than close to 50% weightage to the research output of any college or institution. Our own NIRF, which comes up with ranking every year, and almost every university and college are working towards this. You can see that 30% weightage comes from the research and professional practice. So, what these changing dimensions of ranking means for teachers, like, it's accreditation versus ranking. That means it's the ranking which is gaining traction. NIRF ranking, there has to be an improvement every passing year, a move towards objective measurement, because research, how it will be measured, there has to be an objective approach in that. Has the scope weightage for actual classroom teaching diminished? It is a question to be answered and as well as asked among ourselves. Has the weightage of contributions of classroom teaching becomes less significant, or has it given a fresh role, a new exciting challenge role to the teachers? What teachers must do in order to remain relevant and also important. If you look at the UGC regulations that take into cognizance, apart from your teaching abilities or how much you are teaching, there is also an enhanced impetus on the research component. Okay, so this again brings to the important question, why research has become so important to teachers. Now, having said that, let's start the academic writing process with a simple understanding of what is a research paper. A research paper is a piece of academic writing based on its author's original research on a particular topic and the analysis and interpretation of the research findings. Now, there has to be research is a very serious engagement actually. It consumes a lot of time, and the more time, the innovative ideas, the problems a teacher explores, the more effective the paper comes up. A substantive piece of academic writing in which the author does independent research into a topic and writes a description of the findings of that research. Now, this definition needs little bit more elaboration. What has happened in India and in countries like China? So there are studies which have carried out saying that not every piece that gets published can qualify to be a research. you know, when it comes to numbers, we may be producing about, say, 20,000 articles, but then how many of them exhibit or demonstrate the true qualities of the research? That needs to be explained. So here, a research paper in truest sense is a substantial piece of academic writing in which the author does independent research into a topic and writes a description of the findings of that research. So this is something that needs to be paid attention to. Now, most of the teachers I have seen that are clueless. Research scholars are clueless because this is like a starting problem. Everybody wants to write, everybody wants to publish, but then they hesitate so much to keep the first step itself. So how to get started? How do you know that you have a purpose? Say, for example, if you ask these questions to yourself, have you completed a project that concluded successfully? When I say project, it could be a dissertation along with your student, or something, a major or a minor research project that you have carried, which has been successfully completed. Are you wrestling with a problem with no clear solution? Obviously, research is that only. You come up with a solution for a problem everybody is struggling with. So is this something, or are you continuously, day in, day out, wrestling with or thinking too much about a problem and no solution is occurring to you? Do you have an opinion or an observation on a subject? We all, make our opinion on something based on our past experiences and accumulated knowledge. So do you have like that? Have you given a presentation, briefing, or a conference paper wherever you have gone? Are you working on a doctoral or a master's thesis, or do you have a new idea or initiative? So if your answer to any of these 6 questions is yes, then you have all the reason, all the basis for a publishable paper. You should not waste time. You should simply jump into the fray and start working on that. Now, how you should get started working on that? Choose a topic which interests and challenges you. If your colleague is writing on something, or if your friend is writing on something, don't jump into that. Choose a topic which creates some sort of interest in you. It's like, because if you do what everyone else is doing, you may not enjoy that process. And then it is very easy to get bored of research, especially in social sciences. So choose a topic which is challenging to you. Your interest towards the topic may well determine the amount of effort and enthusiasm you put into your research. If you choose a very drab topic, then probably you will not put your heart into it. Try writing your way to a topic. Usually, you must put down everything that comes to your mind, start coining the title 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and then you refine that to arrive at a certain topic which outlines gives you the outline of your research. Get familiar means read something about that. Go beyond what you already know. Pick a tentative title, talk to your colleagues about your topic, usually the ones who are working in the area. Pose your topic as a question to be answered or a problem to be solved. Because research is a journey that starts with a question or with an intention to problem solving. So narrowing and focusing on a researchable topic, like you cannot keep it like economics or urban economics. You should come up with certain boundaries to it. Say, for example, economic analysis of Indian cities. Now, second step that you must take for academic writing is how to make an effective review of literature. Now, review of literature is an important element of the research process. I'm sure the earlier spokespersons must have explained this to you in detail. I only want to tell you that it serves two important purposes. Whenever you are onto publishing a paper, review of literature helps you first get familiar with what has been published already, so that you get some idea of how to carry on with your own research, because research is should be written in such a way that anybody should be able to reproduce it with the same methodology. Okay, so review of literature helps you to get familiar with what has already been done. Second important thing is review of literature helps you to position your study and justify what is the significance, why you chose this particular problem to explore. Now, in order to do this, you cannot simply rely on what comes in front of your eyes. You need to tap into multiple sources like online databases, publisher portals, Google Scholar, the library online catalogs, the ETD Shodhaganga, where all the previous PhDs are stored, gateways, portals, indexing and abstracting databases like Web of Science, Scopus. All these sources will have to be searched with appropriate keywords to identify the literature that you will be reviewing for your purpose. So that is the second most important. Third important thing is the you must have an outline. So do some reading after you finish your review of literature. You can come up with a outline. So write down your objectives, create a list of main points that you wish to cover, organize, revise, eliminate. So like, the more time you spend on coming up with a outline with clarity, see the picture depicts that if you simply have all the literature with you but don't have an outline, it will be a jumbled one. The best thing is you prepare an outline, segregate literature based on that outline so that it looks manageable to you. Now, a research paper would basically have following structure, that is title page, title, author's name, affiliation, and publication date, an abstract, brief summary, 250 or less words, introduction, where basically the background information on the topic or a brief comment leading into the subject matter is provided, literature review, if applicable, but most of the studies it will be. And then comes the main body, which can be broken in further sections. Say, for example, methodology, what are the findings and results, the discussion, and afterwards you put conclusion, where you down your final arguments and references, tables, figures, and appendices. So this is the structure that you must have in the beginning itself, if at all you want to make a meaningful effort. Now, this outline could be an informal one, which is a working outline. So basically, this is done in order to put some structure to the random thoughts that are coming to you, the ideas, so that you work on them and then finally prepare a formal outline depending on where you are publishing it. Okay, it is subject to revision, addition, and cancelling without paying much attention to form. It helps an author to make their key points clear for him and arrange them. Now, an informal outline, basically, I have seen that people who began to write a research article see so much potential in that they come up with a manuscript and convert that into a full-fledged book itself. So, what is an informal outline may probably help you to take a decision on what you want this to be. You want it to be in the form of a working paper, you want this to be converted into a research article, review article, or a book itself. the letters and numbers, all those proper structure has to be in the formal outline. And the purpose of an outline is to help you think through your topic carefully and organize it logically before you start writing. A good outline is the most important step in writing a good paper. So if you don't have a good outline, you run the risk of going haphazard. And then one of the biggest casualty of not having a properly crafted outline is the time. What paper you should finish in, say, 3 months' time, you will take more than 6 months or even more than that because you don't know what you are doing, where you are going. So please work on that. Fourth important point is organize your notes. That means whatever notes you have created, organize all the information you have gathered according to your outline. Critically analyze your research data, whatever data you have collected, and using the best available sources, check for accuracy and verify that the information is factual, up to date, and correct. And this is the most important stage in writing a research paper. Make sure the information that you have noted is carefully recorded and in your own words, if possible, because then you run the risk of running the plagiarism. Document all ideas borrowed or quotes used very accurately. That means you must have control over what documents you have consulted. It could be anything, a report, a website, a book, a journal article, a thesis, but you must have complete details of that so that you can quote it in your work. So this actually forms the second session of my today. As you organize your notes, jot down detailed bibliographic information for each cited paragraph. Group your notes following the outline codes you have assigned to your notes. And this method will enable you to quickly put all your resources in the right place as you organize your notes according to your outline. So organize your notes is an important thing. The fifth stage in academic writing is you actually start writing your research. After you go through all these four stages, now you sit down. It's more of a desk job where you actually write your paper. You might feel like you should have started writing sooner, but rest assured the work you have done up to this point is quite important. Many people think that they are multitasking, so they are doing everything simultaneously. They are collecting data, they are analyzing data, they are writing introduction, they are preparing review of literature, and they are also writing research. Now, only exceptional cases that may be possible, but it is not a correct way to approach your research. This will help you create a strong, clear, interesting research paper. Start with the first topic in your outline, read all the relevant notes, summarize, paraphrase, or quote directly for each idea you plan to use in your essay. Use a technique that suits you, that is, write summaries, paraphrases, or quotations, or note cards. Different people have different approaches towards writing, and mark each paper or a source, whether it is for introduction or review or analysis or conclusion. So you must have a complete control over the literature that you have collected. So without that, it becomes really difficult. Now, what is the checklist for editing? Now that you have got a paper written, take a moment to congratulate yourself, because keeping the first draft ready is the biggest relief to anybody. Because I have seen that when you begin writing, it looks like a very daunting task. There is no shape to it. But when you complete the first draft, certainly you feel some sort of achievement that something is happening. It is taking a shape. Now all I have to do is keep on refining it until it becomes of publishable quality. You have done a lot of work to get to this point, and then get back to work. You still need to edit your paper before it is ready to turn in, because I have seen that if you allow me to share my own experience, when I submitted my first paper, uh, the editor was so kind that he shared the reviewers' comments with me. I had taken so much of pride on my English, and then the editor, the reviewer has written that I should be first trained in English language because it was so poor. The reporting, the sentence structure was jumbled. It was not giving clarity what I wanted to communicate. It was a bit of a shock to me. But then I realized that, yes, I took all the comments, reviewers' comment carefully, and then, went through the draft, made corrections, and then submitted. And then on this day, that paper is the highest cited paper of mine because the reviewer's comments helped me to improve it. So please read your paper for content errors, double check the facts and figures, arrange and rearrange ideas to follow your outline. All your content should follow that outline. Reorganize your outline if necessary, but always keep the purpose of your paper and readers in mind. The checklist for content errors is my research statement, concise and clear. What happens is, I have seen that we Indians believe in verbosity. Like we love long sentences. Each sentence should look like a big paragraph. The more, the merrier. Not like that. It should be concise. It should be brief, and then it should be clear. So, did I follow my outline? Have I missed something? Have I deviated from my outline? Are my arguments presented in a logical sequence? Whenever you are writing your research, because you have done it day in, day out, you assume that people will understand it. But those who are reading it for the first time, if it comes in bits and pieces, in broken with no relation to anything, then it is something that you should take care of. So always look at your paper, how convenient it is for a first time reader also. Whether he is able to connect with what he read earlier, or is it in a logical sequence? Are all sources properly cited to ensure that I'm not plagiarizing? Have I proved my research with strong supporting arguments? Have I made my intentions and points clear in the paper? So these are all the checklists when you wish to edit. I will also suggest you please make use of language support tools like Grammarly. Like, Grammarly is one such software which helps you to bring that clarity. Sometimes, if you are using the same word again and again, it becomes very repetitive and boring for the readers. So, Grammarly will suggest you some alternatives, synonyms for that. Or if there is any sentence construction is not proper, it will give you a suggestion about it would look more, it will bring more clarity if you rearrange your words and then reframe your sentence like that. So, and it also gives you a ranking in terms of your article, your write-up is 40% okay, 60% okay, 80% okay, like that, one by one, it keeps on pointing out the areas of concerns to you, and you work on that, you will come up with a really good piece of research with the help of Grammarly. Now, the basic edition of Grammarly is available free on the web also. Only the premium edition you need to subscribe to. Now, yes, the checklist for editing the language, reread your draft for grammatical errors, use a dictionary as needed, do a spell check, correct errors that you can spot and improve the overall quality to the best of your ability. Most of the time, we put so much confidence upon ourselves that, we assume we don't make any mistake. But that is where we make the biggest mistake. So best way is always run your draft through the language tools like Grammarly. Grammarly is one industry leader that I'm referring to. Give the draft to somebody to read and review. And You can also have a checklist too for editing, where you can ask these questions, which are the best practices. Did I begin each paragraph with a proper sentence, topic sentence? Any run-on or unfinished sentences? Sometimes, during conversation, an unfinished sentence may still communicate meaning, but then when you are writing, the context won't be there. You will have to write complete sentences, then only the meaning will be communicated. Any unnecessary or repetitive words, worrying lengths of sentences, does one paragraph or idea flow smoothly into the next? Any spelling, grammatical error, quotes accurate in source spelling, are all my citations accurate and in correct format? Did I avoid using contractions, use cannot instead of can't? Did I use third person as much as possible? Usually, first person, like, avoid using phrases such as I think, I guess, according to me, I suppose. It should not be used. Have I made my points clear and interesting but remained objective? Did I leave a sense of completion for my readers at the end of paper? Whenever you write a piece of paper, it should leave people with some sense of understanding, not with some more confusion that they will have to go to some other sources. And you please revise the final draft of your academic write-up, overall organization, including the logical flow, introduction, coherence, depth of discussion, effectiveness of conclusion, the paragraph level concerns. Say, for example, first one is the overall, second is up to the paragraph level, see whether the topic sentences, sequence of ideas within paragraphs, use of details to support organization, summary sentences, transitions within and between paragraphs, whether it is all okay. And within paragraph, go down to the sentence level, whether word choices, punctuation, spelling, is everything okay. Documentation, consistent use of one system, citation of all material not considered common knowledge, appropriate use of endnotes or footnotes, accuracy of list of words cited, and finally ask yourself, is this the very best that I can do? Because excellence is something you will have to keep at it every time. You can always be better than what you had done earlier. Now, coming to once you finish the final draft, you need to work on this fine tuning the other aspect of it. This, you have to optimize the discovery and usage of your research, because if you may end up creating a masterpiece of research, but what will happen? What if nobody discovers your research, nobody cites, nobody reads? It will be hidden. That should not happen. Okay, so making a good title for a paper involves ensuring that the title of the research accomplishes four goals. What are those? Predicts the content of the research paper, should be interesting to the reader, reflect the tone of the writing, it should contain important keywords that will make it easier to be located during a keyword search. See, nobody usually searches for literature based on our name. People start searching based on the keyword. So if you assign proper keywords to your research, then it has the possibility of coming up in the top 10 references in the search output. So you need to do that. These four goals you must achieve if you wish to ensure that your article title, the moment you look at the title, people must get a complete uh, feel of what to expect from that, and also it should be interesting enough to attract the attention of the domain specific people. And your title must describe the topic, obviously, the method, the sample, and the results of the study. Say, for example, you can see that meditation makes nurses perform better. A qualitative study of mindfulness meditation among German nursing students. Here, the topic is also there. Basically, it is the meditation and the performance of the nurses. The study is also, the method is also there. The sample is German nurses is also there. And then the results of the study, in the sense, it makes them better. So you can see that this is a complete title which gives exact meaning of what to expect from the full text if at all one wants to read it. Avoid unnecessary words and jargons. You want a title that will be comprehensible even to people who are not experts in your field. Uh, you know, let us not generalize this, but when you are writing for anybody, then the title also has to be for anybody. It cannot have too much of technical jargon so that it is understood by only few people. Make sure your title is between 5 and 15 words in length, because too much of words in title itself would make it difficult for anybody, not only for those who are reading, but also those who want to cite your paper. And the title also conforms to journal standards. Now, coming to how to write abstract, an abstract is a 150 to 250 word paragraph that provides readers with a quick overview of your essay or report. An abstract it should not be like an introduction. It must be a summary, a gist of all the article or a write-up that you have created. It should express your research, that is the central idea, the key points, any implications it must indicate, and the discussion. And according to Carol Slade, an abstract is a concise summary of the entire paper. Methodology, the population, the research, about the review of literature, it should have a bit of everything. The function of an abstract is to describe, not to evaluate or defend the paper. It only describes. And it should begin with a brief but precise statement of the problem or a issue, followed by the description of the research method and design, major findings, and the conclusions reached. The abstract should contain the most important keywords referring to method and content. This is very important. Whenever your publication appears in any of the indexing and abstracting database, there are provisions where people will search for keywords in your title, in your abstract, in your full text. So if in your full text is there, then there will be lots of articles. So in your article title, you find most direct hits, and to some extent in the abstract also. So always ensure that you use the keywords, appropriate keywords in the title, in the abstract, and in the full text, obviously, you would have used them. And even how to write an introduction. Say you should start with a grabber, with a attention seeker, something that creates an interest in the users, a provocative question or a statistics, an anecdote, unusual fact, and then you're writing a research paper, but that doesn't mean you have to be boring. Make it interesting. We all assume that the research is a boring process. So obviously the research output, which appears in the form of a publication, also can be boring. Not like that. And you need to provide the background information, explain your goals, and how you plan to approach your research paper topic. You should finish your introduction with your research statement or research question. This section of your paper is not long, so you are sure to finish it fast. Introduction basically it sets the mood for the reader and then provides a brief background of what the research contains. Now, coming to the main body of the article, your outline will help you to complete this part of the paper. Main body is the core of your research, but you shouldn't think that you must strictly follow it. It may evolve and you are free to revise it. Main body Sometimes we break into subheadings, we combine two subheadings. Basically, as long as you do or you have focus on your research or paper objectives, work freely without any restrictions on the main body of the article. The key thing here is to stay on your track and focus on your thesis. Build your essay around points you want to make. Integrate your sources into your discussion. That means whenever you are discussing something which is the outcome of your research, always dip into some other credible author's points which you can, use to justify. Summarize, analyze, explain, and evaluate published work rather than merely reporting it. Start each body paragraph with a topic sentence and provide arguments and relevant evidence to support it. You should write as many body paragraphs as you have the key points. And how to write conclusion? Yes, most research papers end with restarting their thesis statement. You can also do it, but you shouldn't repeat it word for word. So you repeat the thesis statement, that is the question, but do it in other words. Move from a detailed and a general level consideration that returns the topic to the context provided by the introduction. Paraphrase or summarize the key points of your paper. You may emphasize the significance of your findings. This is very important. The, the significance of your findings must be reflected in your conclusion. A good idea is to provide some recommendations based on the results of your investigation to or suggestion some directions for future research. Always ensure that whatever piece of research you have done, whenever you prepare a research report or a journal article, it must have recommendations for the stakeholders. Now, who are the stakeholders? It could be somebody on which you have conducted this research. It could be for the agencies which are involved in this process, or it could be for the government at a larger, the state at a larger stage that is involved, and then your research makes their uh, understanding of the process much better. Now it must have references and citations. Academic writing relies more on just the ideas and experience of one author. On an average, people cite 20 to 30 articles in a research paper and up to 300, 200 to 300 in a dissertation. But you need to have complete control over these references and citations. And there are different methods of providing citations. And based on what methodology is asked for you, what is the format of citations is requested, you can do that. There are software tools available. We will be discussing one such tool post lunch, and it shows the reader that you can find and use sources to create a solid argument, properly credits the originators of ideas, theories, research findings. It shows the reader how your argument relates to the big picture. Failure to properly acknowledge sources is called plagiarism. If you don't manage references, if you don't cite them, you run the risk of being accused of plagiarism. Now, this can become a serious headache to you if you don't take care of these things when you are young or when you are just now started writing. Now, how you should get your article published? Now, you need to assess the journal based on the reputation, the scope and focus. What is the turnaround time for the publication? Say, for example, some journals do publish that if a journal is accepted, it will be published only after 2 years because there is a long list, waiting list included in prominent indexes like any journal that is indexed in Web of Science or Scopus, only that needs to be considered. I think tomorrow you have a session on that. Probably there you will come to know more about it. The longevity, that means since how many years the journal is coming up, what are the editorial standards, what is the acceptance rate. So all these things you need to, uh, tap into by whatever sources that you can lay your hands on. Now, where to publish, how you should select the right journal, there are mechanisms that you should you should follow, like impact factor, Scopus and site score, H index, Google Scholar, usage, peer perception, editorial board. All these things basically gives you an assessment of what is the standing of the journal in the publishing industry. One of the prominent factor is the impact factor itself. So, and even when you apply for your promotions in University Grants Commission guidelines, if you publish in journals with higher impact factor, the commensurate weightage also goes up. Like if it is 1 impact factor, it is so and so between 1 to 5. 5 to 10, it is 6 to 10, it is something else. So the higher the impact factor, the higher the weightage, your academic point indicators that you will earn. Now, possible reasons for not publishing in index journals, I have seen that I have come across many teachers, young teachers, who have just published in any journal that has come across, and then lost a very important opportunity to bring that credibility to their research. Now, they are not aware that's how to identify the journals, uh, lack of awareness about how individuals and institutions are being ranked, not willing to go through the rigor of stringent publication process, always look for the easy way out. And in India, there are so many predatory journals, the journals which claim and then, collect money from you and then publish. There is a pressure to publish quickly because your promotion is held up for that, other commitments that leave us with little or no time. So these are all the reasons why a research scholar or a teacher sometimes uh, takes to a shortcut by risking his own career about it. Now, this is an impact factor definition, and an impact factor is basically calculated. It's a ratio of number of times an article published in the last 2 years are cited by the articles published in the current year. So, say for example, for the year 2010 impact factor, it will be counted based on how many times the articles that are published in the year 2008 and 9 were cited in the year 2010. And this is divided by the total number of articles in 2008 and 9. This gives how many citations uh, per. So, say for example, if it is 1 impact factor, that means every article was cited at least once, something like that. Now, if you look at the impact factor of groups, I have done a small, for demonstration purpose, in psychology, you can see that there are some low impact factor journals also, middle impact factor and high impact factor journals also. Obviously, the high impact factor group will have a very stringent process of editorial and the publication process than the low impact journal. And JCR is a tool to measure the journal impact. So you can just talk to your librarian to help you to understand more about journal citation reports and what is the impact factor. Sometimes the journal website itself gives you the impact factor, and you can, through the help of your librarian, see this journal citation report also. And SciMago is another tool that will help you to measure the journal rank. This is an open source. You can definitely get to see it. Say, for example, this is the screen grab of the SciMago journal and country rank. You will be able to identify, say, for example, economics. In economics, what are the top journals in the world? What are the top journals in India? So you will be able to make this. Maybe I will demonstrate in the end. Say, for example, for psychology, I had done psychology I came in India. The H index is basically it is an author level metric that attempts to measure both the productivity and citation impact of the publications of a scientist or a scholar. Say, for example, the calculation is very simple. If you list out your publications, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, like that, and the number of citations received by them. So where the number of paper and the number of citation matches, that becomes your H index. So that indicates that if my H index is 7, that indicates that I have at least 7 publications which have received a minimum 7 citations. So this H index basically indicates the productivity of the author. Now, how do you know what is your H index? All of you can check in the Web of Science database, Scopus database, Google Scholar, and Indian Citation Index. It is Scopus, Indian Citation Index, and Web of Science require subscription to, whereas Google Scholar is a free online database that provides the H index. Say, for example, this is one example of Web of Science where the number of publications for an author, what is the H index, how many average citations per item, and then number of times cited, like that. This is in Google Scholar, my own profile. You can see that my H index is 6. So that means I have at least 6 publications where I have received minimum 6 citations. You also need to create an author identifier like ORCID, Open Researcher and Contributor ID, a unique persistent identifier, because it's like your Aadhaar, or it's like your PAN card for all financial transactions. So ORCID is the your identity in the publishing world. So, Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, Microsoft, all of them also provide author IDs, but ORCID ID is different because through ORCID ID, you will be able to capture every domain of your research. Say, for example, you are a reviewer, you are on an editorial board, you are a publisher. Okay, so all that can be captured in ORCID, whereas in Scopus, basically it only captures your uh, publishing, the public, the papers that you have published in Scopus. So best is always to have, if at all you want to have your research profile felt, it is better to create an ORCID. So these are the uh, research profile tools, social networking sites uh, that are all of them are free, and why you should publish. Now, the there is a strong reason or a purpose for you to do research, and there is an equally strong purpose for you to publish. And through publication, what happens is there is a peer recognition. You would be known because students, scholars, teachers will be reading your research, citing your research, and then there will be a peer recognition. Yes, he is a celebrated author, very established author. The career advancement, because now if you look at the University Grants Commission, if you want to get promoted as an associate professor, you need to have 7 publications in these indexed journals, 7 publications. And if you want to get promoted as a professor, you need to have 10 publications in these indexed journals. So it is all linked, and it contributes to improve institutions ranking. So when you publish, you are also helping your institution, your college to improve its ranking. An important parameter to assess your research contribution for your fellowship applications, research grant applications, and awards and recognitions. Say, for example, whenever you are applying for research grant to WHO or UNESCO or other financing agencies, all they ask you is, earlier they used to ask you list of publications, so that they know that whether you have prior experience, research experience in that domain. Now they simply ask you share your ORCID ID, and through that ORCID ID, they will get a complete presence of your research and its impact, how much impact your research has created. All those things will be visible to them. Say, for example, fellowship applications. When you apply for uh, Fulbright Fellowship, Commonwealth Fellowship, or Indo-Shastri Canadian Fellowship. So everywhere, your identity of research and publication becomes something that will speak a lot about you. And this is very objective. It is not based on anybody, third party's assessment of you. So it is always important that you pay attention to the research, the academic writing, and enhanced quality of writing, and then finally publishing it in journals that really matter. And when you do that, you can continue to attract citations even after you retire. Say, for example, Albert Einstein, he may not have created this profile, but somebody created, and it is not verified also. It still continues to attract citations, fundamental work done by him. Something similar to this, people may come and go, but their research contribution will be there in the domain by continuous citations. And before, I just want to demonstrate this one particular thing. Okay, so this is the Simago that I was telling. All you can do is you can say journal ranking. Okay, so for example, if you are looking for economics, say I have chosen economics. Within economics, all the top journals you can see. These are the top. Simago journal ranking is this. You can see that. Okay. Now, if you wish that within economics, there are several categories that also you can see. Countries, let us look at India alone. There you are. See this. Within India, how many are there? Okay, see, there are 11 journals. So you should always try to publish in the journal with highest Simago journal ranking. If you publish in this, probably your journal, say H index is also highest. Uh, you know, it will carry much more weightage. This is how you can, based on the subject, based on whether you wish to top in India or top in all categories. So like this, you need to find out and ensure that you publish in journals that are really in the top 10 or top 20, so that you earn that extra benefit in terms of calculating the academic point indicators. Okay, this is one Simago I wanted to show you. And the data for this comes from Scopus. Scopus is a price, maybe, lakhs of rupees is required. But this particular thing is kept in open domain, at least up to the extent of finding out what is the uh, 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 top journals in a specific domain. You can do that for all other, say for example, economics, or something business and management accounting also. You can only journals alone you can choose. So this kind of simple filtering mechanism will tell you what are the top journals. So identifying a journal for your publication should not be a difficulty, because these are the tools that are here to help you with the process. Okay, so coming back to this. Okay, now what are the takeaways from this session? We have understood that there is an increasing importance to research and publication uh, in the higher education especially, and This is a boon for teachers. Now, from the way I see it, there are two parameters for you to be an excellent teacher. One is obviously your primary responsibility as a teacher. And second is the research. And from research, all other things, offshoots will come. So from research comes your publications. From research comes data for your evaluation in terms of grant applications, fellowship applications, your career advancement. So research is something that is becoming very critical component that every research scholar or a teacher must take very seriously. And it is a boon for teachers. Uh, Article published cannot be done in a hurry, but you can pick up pace as you indulge in it. Always, when people are doing it for the first time, second time, they waste a lot of time figuring out how to do certain things. But you have so many uh, tools, research tools available, which will definitely help you to carry this work in a very smart way. So you need not just keep giving a blank stare at something. Or how do I do this? No, there are tools available for every stage of your uh, 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 article or research publishing. Say, for example, identifying the literature, you have indexing databases, managing the references, you have reference management tools, you have tools for language support to enhance or bring clarity in your research reporting. To check for any inadvertent plagiarism, you have plagiarism detection softwares. You want to use some data visualization softwares, there are tools available for that. Data analysis tools available for that. So for every activity in the research, the digital tools are available. And that is why they call it the today's researcher as a researcher of 21st century, because he is expected to be adept at using these research tools. Okay. Now you need to establish collaboration, the sure short way of achieving maximum publications as the efforts are distributed, where the results are all for all. Through the indexing databases, you will come to know who is working in your area. You can identify, you can write to them, establish collaborations, and then across the nation, you can prepare project proposals, or you can at least have publications to begin with. And in case if you are a teacher, I think every student that you are guiding for a dissertation is a potential author. So mentor these young students, young scholars, and convert each project or a dissertation into publication, into a joint publication. So this way, as a teacher, you will benefit. As a student, the person, even before he gets out of the university, already has a couple of publications to his credit. So this will definitely help them to start off their career uh, with much more confidence that they would be doing otherwise. So these are the list of sources that I have consulted for preparing this presentation. And I have borrowed extensively from so many sources, so many people that I have spoken to, discussed with. So this session is a culmination of my years together work in enabling the research scholars in publishing work, and also to guide them properly on this. Okay, so this is what I wanted to share with you. And as promised, I have kept the uh, uh, about 15-20 minutes for discussion, because that is very much necessary uh, to ensure that session is absorbed well. I'll be more than happy to address any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Satish sir. The session was really wonderful. And more than the queries, we have so much comments, compliments for the session. The session was really explained in a very lucid and very informative. Each slide of yours was loaded with so much of information. We have one participant here, Mr. Subhash Mallet. Sir wants to know what is the outline, what is meant by outline. So, when you're speaking about an article or paper or thesis, so what is basically an outline? He wants you to explain.
Okay. Outline is basically, as I told you, there are two things. One is formal, the other one is informal. So you should start with an informal outline. This outline helps you to put your ideas in proper perspective, and it helps you to bring a logical order. Say, for example, introduction, and then afterwards review of literature, and then research methodology, and then you have analysis, and then discussion, conclusion, and then remaining part. So when you have this thing now, based on what you are working on, whether it is a research report, your dissertation, a journal article, these outlines will vary according to the purpose that you are writing for. And these outlines basically help you to save a lot of time. And by grouping the literature that you need for each of the component in the outline, you would require literature to depend upon. So even in organizing your literature, that these many articles, sources I need for component one, this I need for introduction, this I need for data analysis, this I need for review of literature. By segregating things, you are in control of things. Otherwise, you will continuously waste your time in trying to find out things. Okay, so you just look at the word research. If you break this, what is the meaning? What is the meaning of research? Research. You have to work on that. Here, the motto with which the librarians in your college or in my institute work is, you should spend more time on research and less time on search. A good researcher will create an outline, will collect literature, and then start doing research on that. So having an outline helps you to control. It's like a blueprint for your, research publication that you are working upon. And this could be a book also. This could be a working paper. This could be a journal article, or a project report that you are submitting to some agency. So it is a blueprint of your write-up.
Yes, thank you, sir. We have one more query from Shobha ma'am. Ma'am has written recently. She has submitted an article. It fulfilled all parameters, but it failed in language as aspect even after checking in Grammarly. She wants to know if there is a facility available to check the any criteria for a language.
Uh, if you have access to, I'm taking this example of one tool that is available, Grammarly. In the Grammarly, uh, you know, when you submit your document, you can set the parameters. Is this for informal submission, an email, or is it a formal research paper, like that? And within that, the Grammarly software identifies the shortcomings in your write-up. So what are those shortcomings? Lacuna in the language could be because of the spelling mistakes, could be because of the poor sentence construction, could be because of repetitive use of words, could be because there is no cohesiveness, could be because of the uh, flow of thoughts. Okay, you will be surprised if research is a long drawn process, over a period of 1 month, you write that, and when you start reading it, you would be lost in your thoughts, not understanding why have I written it this way. Because one paragraph should flow into the next paragraph. Unless the editors have pointed out clearly what was the lacuna, it becomes very difficult to comment. But these are the major flaws a author faces whenever they are attempting to publish something. And as I told you, in India, we believe in verbosity. We use too much of word. When 2 lines is sufficient, we end up writing a paragraph. These things, even after reading a paragraph, the meaning could have been explained in one sentence. If they feel that way, then they might reject. There is no cohesiveness, there is no focus. Did they give any reason when they rejected this article? This. I just want to know with the participants. Did they?
Shobha ma'am, did you get a reason?
Okay.
Okay. We can take up the next
Next question. I think
query, sir.
Rashmi Pillai.
Yeah, Rashmi ma'am has written. Shobha ma'am is mentioning the same reasons what you have mentioned actually.
Okay, good.
Okay, yeah.
So you please work on that. I think, and I told you that every author who is beginner will face this. Uh, and we always carry some amount of confidence saying that, "Arey, itna acha likha tha, aise kaise ho sakta hai?" How can you reject? We have been speaking English for so long, and if somebody comments that English is not proper, it punches a hole in the confidence. Okay, but there is a reason. We have to work on that. So, 1 second. This Rashmi Pillai,
Rashmi ma'am, yeah.
Scopus index, but if I search it in Scopus database, it is not popping out. Okay, okay. Yes, your understanding is correct. All Scopus indexed will be available in UGC Care. Okay, but sometimes what happens is journals also make false claims. You need to be very careful about that. So if it is not listed in UGC Care portal, when you search under Scopus, when you search under Web of Science, then you please depend on UGC Care portal than what the publisher. It's a self-proclamation. They shouldn't be doing it, but sometimes they do that. Okay, question. Social Science Journal for Scopus and Web of Science, best. No, it requires some research. I gave you, sometimes what happens is when you submit an article to a particular journal, decide to, you need to look at some publishers. They also give details like submitted on so and so, revised on so and so, accepted on so and so. So if you look at couple of such mentions, you would know what is the turnaround of that. Otherwise, no journal will declare that our turnaround time is quicker. Second point is, in case if the number of articles published in each issue is more, then the the potential for your article to be considered for publication also increases. If it is monthly, it increases. Okay. Okay, Rashmi Pillai had written, when we publish paper based on our PhD work, how do we get that excluded from plagiarism check? Okay, it would be very difficult for you to do that because at the most you can delay the PhD work, your PhD thesis hosting on Show the Ganga up to 1 year. But beyond that, it keeps coming. You just have to convince people or write to them stating that this paper is based on the PhD work and the plagiarism link that is coming from your own PhD thesis. They should accept that. They should accept that, because a PhD will have to be converted into publications. Then only it will reach maximum people. There is no exclusion form. You cannot do anything about that. You just have to justify stating that it is coming for your own.
Mithilesh sir, can you unmute Rashmi ma'am?
Mithilesh, can you unmute Rashmi?
Ma'am, I'm not able to find ma'am.
Sir, search by RESHMI.
Yes, Rashmi, yes.
Yeah.
Or she can put a chat in the chat in case if she has a question.
Yes, Rashmi ma'am, you can talk.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. Sir, my question is, suppose I'm publishing a paper based on my work. Okay, so that paper is published. Now, 2 years later, I am submitting my thesis. Okay, so when I'm submitting my thesis, will that paper be counted in the plagiarism for the thesis check? Is my question. Will the librarian who's doing this plagiarism on Turnitin or something, pop up this plagiarism report based on my paper, which is published already, which is again based on my work? That's the question.
What is important is from where the similarity is coming. So in your case, the similarity is coming from your own paper, and that paper was part of the research you carried for PhD.
Correct.
So there is a provision to exclude this content. The supervisor has to certify that yes, this paper is based on the research work being submitted now, and this be excluded from counting the percentage of the plagiarism. If the research supervisor certifies that, then obviously, it is quite valid. The UGC also insists that you publish at least 2 papers on your PhD before you submit your thesis. Now, how can we say that if you have published paper on the thesis, there cannot be similarity? Because it is the same research work.
Exactly.
So you need to, this argument has to be brought in, and this exclusion, even the plagiarism detection software people do not say that this is not absolute similarity. They don't call it plagiarism, they call it similarity, and not to include this provision is there when we are generating the reports. Okay, but the librarian cannot exercise this discretion. It is the supervisor who has to certify that yes, I have seen this similarity to our own paper, which is based on this, it can be excluded. That's it.
Thank you so much, sir. Well answered. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we have a query by Janita ma'am. Ma'am wants to know what is the Q1, Q2, Q3 in SJR.
Okay. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, basically it is called as quadrants. Like say, for example, if there are 100 journals in psychology, okay, and if we rank these journals from 1 to 100, the Q1 means the top 25. Q2 means the second top group. So basically, in order to generalize things, they have put them into groups actually. So Q1 is the top 25% journals. Okay, say for example, there could be 1,000 journals in psychology. So Q1 in psychology means 250 journals. So that list, if you publish in Q1, you will be considered as publishing in a more, impactful journals than the Q2 journal. It's like your grading, you do that, grading A++, like that.
Okay, sir. Sir, I have a query. Like now all the researchers or the teachers who want to publish a paper, so we look upon various sources, like for example UGC care is considered to be a reputed list where we can find journals and we can pick up a journal and put up an article. But the thing is here, they are charging too high for publishing an article, maybe in the range of 3,000, more than that, some maybe 5,000, 6,000. So in that case, where can we find a link of such kind of resources where a nominal fee will be there, from where we can find such journals?
The publishing industry itself has gone into a total change actually. Okay, now at the outset the publishers are telling that we are publishing an open access journal, or they will make your article open access provided you compensate them for the loss that is happening in terms of publication fees. And it differs from one journal to another journal. It has to be verified at each journal only. There is no paid journals, non-paid journals, not like that. There is no one single source which you can do that and then check it up.
Okay, sir.
It is the publisher's policy.
Yes, true, sir.
Because when the open access movement has picked up speed, they wanted to be in open access, but also wanted to make money. So how do they do that? They say that yes, your article will be put in open access. It will be free for
either they for accessing or the author has to pay that way.
Either those who are accessing will pay, or the author. Sometimes what happens is they entice the author saying that your article will receive so many citations,
right?
That impact will go. So you pay, and then there are algorithms which are coming in saying that your article will be pushed up in the search engines. It becomes discoverable. All sorts of things are there.
Yes, sir. Yes. So we have one more query from Varsha ma'am. When abstract appear as conference proceedings, will there be issue if we send full paper to a journal?
This is, okay, it has been published only as an abstract. Only abstract has appeared. Okay, in the conference proceeding. In the conference
proceeding. Yes, that is what ma'am is saying.
I think it is okay because full text was never published there. It is okay, but you need to make a disclosure about it. You need to make a disclosure about it, stating that this, when you say that this is based on the presentation made at a conference, this paper, like that, you need to make a disclosure. So it won't be a duplication because it was not published in the conference proceedings.
So I think we have taken upon all the queries. Liju ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir. All the queries have been answered.
So thank you, sir. It was really a wonderful session. I mean, what to say? You covered up and you gave so much knowledge of, related to this area. I think let's have a break now, and then we will come back at 2 o'clock after lunch break.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.